Vision TV, the online TV.
Is made up of 5 regions, and all these regions must be represented.
It can easily be.
Well, that was a mistake.
In 1996, there was the Interparty Cooperation, which was an amalgamation of DP and UPC.
Maybe what I forgot about me.
Marilyn Chibota, she was not in the meeting.
Okay. Nope, now makes more sense. If it was transfers, it's okay.
Either way, we are speaking around the mouth, but we normally take the inner meaning of the concept. FDC, Forum for Democratic Change. They are all about the what? A change.
Vision TV, the online TV.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the UJK Media Roundtable. Our rendezvous is always Cafe Olimako, and today it's a special one. We have one of our seniors joining us on this Media Roundtable. He will introduce himself. I don't want to tip him in. Like we always do, I will introduce ourselves in our preamble of 5 seconds, and then I'll unveil what we have on our menu tonight. You're welcome, gentlemen. I'll start with my extreme right, the man in a jacket. You're welcome, boss.
Good, thank you. My name is Jerome Kulebitwande. I'm happy to be back at Media Roundtable. I'll catch you every Friday.
And after Jerome, there's a man with many titles.
My name is Vekeke Simon. I'm happy to sit with my senior, my mentor, actually the person who has led me.
You're already unpacking him before people see him.
Of course they will say him.
Vekeke is a coordinator for UJK, coordinator of freelancers, East Africa.
South Africa and Central. By the way, a lot of things.
You should have sparked me.
Vekeke always wants to make a point, even if it's introduction. Vekeke always wants to make a point, even if it's an introduction. You're welcome, senior.
Okay. Good evening, viewers. My name is Tembo Kahongo Misairi. I am a journalist, born and made here in Kasese, but currently exported to Kampala. I'm an export to Kampala. I'm happy to be here. I wanted to compete with Jolly on who will take how many cups of coffee. But it's unfortunate she's not here.
Unfortunately, Jory got around. She traveled on official duty. Thanks so much for honoring the invitation, Senior. Thanks for being part of the UJK. There, off we go. To start with, on our menu, we have the 11 MPs who defected EDP to NUP, or National Unity Platform. We want to discuss about its impact on the politics of Uganda, and particularly DP as a political party. And two, we also talk about the emerging independence. Will a number of independents get stimulated by the conclusion of NRM? By the way, we are almost having a massive number of independents, especially in Kasese in particular, because right before we didn't have people of FDC defect from the party or defy the elections, primary elections, and come as independents. We've had a number of them, and I expect for more in NRM primaries. These gentlemen are going to discuss why, on the positives and negatives, and how they think all shall trend. To start with is the 11 MPs, DP MPs, crossing from NUP, or National Unity Platform, going to defecting from DP, rather, going to National Unity Platform, are commonly known as NUP, as their acronym reads. This is I want to start with our senior, Mr. Tembo Kahungu. We call him Oga, aka Oga. Oga, do you really think there's an impact on DP? And two, this will impact negative. What do you think it will impact on DP? Negative and positive. And two, is this a progress for the DP MPs crossing from an opposition party to another? Because I believe they're all against Satan, and Satan to them is the NRM and President Museveni. So now all the guns are pinpointing to each other. So how do we expect them to win?
Okay, thank you very much. This evening I will say that the problems of DP started in the Mbale Delegates Conference around 2010, when there was a hot contest between Alhaji Ntege Nasa Sewagala and the current President General Norbert Mao. Some DP extremists thought that DP must be led by a Muganda and it should be Gandarized. And now with the win of Norbert Mao, and I understand Kasese gave him a block vote, some of the delegates from Kasese were showing how they gave Norbert Mao a block vote and to show that the party belongs to the whole nation, not only to Uganda. And now, when you look at what's happening today, is that something that happened with the candidature of Paul Kawanga Semugere in 1996 is what we are trying to see. Because when Semugere decided to contest against Museveni in that election where Uganda was holding the first election after the constitution was made, the Baganda thought that Semugere was their candidate and they must be able to vote apart from Uganda. And that's how Paul Kawanga put a stiff competition. Now, with the emergence of Bobby Wine as now a new kid on the block who has come with a lot of vigor, I think the Baganda feel that now they have a candidate. For the other elections, 2005, 2001, 2005, 2001, 6, 11 and 16, they've been spread across the two giant candidates. Museveni actually has been pulling votes out of Uganda, apart from Wachiso and Kampala. Now, Besigye has been pulling votes in Kampala and Wachiso. Now, they feel that Bobby Wine is now the new light of Uganda. And that's why you are seeing each and every MP in DP, after getting in trouble with Norbert Mao, they now run to NUP. Even before NUP came into the picture, they were with the power. So someone would be DP by card and then with the red beret.
I think there was a revolution of bad DP and good DP.
Yeah, and to the issue concerning the MPs crossing, you know, Norbert Mao has always used a lot of metaphors and all that when describing other people and their candidature or parties. And he said, he said Bobby Wine's people power does not have a center number. If we can talk about UNEP registration of P7, senior 4 and senior 6. And therefore, now after getting a center number, which is no, people have looked at maybe where the best teachers are, that they can be able to perform very well. And with the wave of the youth looking at following Bobby Wine, I think these MPs, mostly from Uganda, they feel they can do better if they go to NUP. And also, we need to look at a few other things that have been happening. You know, if you are party president, instead of calling you in-house meetings, begins to bash you at press conferences, someone calls you a watermelon, someone called you something, you know, when they say your head is like that one of a mad fish, and all those. So I think they were disgruntled.
The house is out of order, to be precise. Now,
and Norbert Mao still leads.
Now, where I want you to focus is on whether it is a progress or a blunder for those MPs who cross from NUP to DP.
I think these MPs, they are just looking at the situation. And the time I've been close to MPs, I've seen that the majority of them is that you only look at how and where you can get a chance to go through. What happens after is you to enjoy. In actual sense, out of 445 elected MPs, I don't think there are 100 MPs who are there just to do their role of an MP. But everyone just wants to go to Parliament, also to enjoy that high life, to enjoy those privileges, and then you are able also to develop yourself. So now they look at, if they see that, no, just climbing on a string that is attached to Bobby Wine, you feel you can go somewhere. So the MPs are looking at that. If Bobby Wine fails totally in this coming election, I will see them moving again in disarray. Someone will see where to go, another will see where to go.
Many of the MPs, it is more of sharing on the national cake than service delivery. That's what Oga Kahungu says. This is what I want to bring in Jerome. Now, Jerome, when we take an instance, for example, if we are trying to stop Oga from getting to Kampala, me and you, he is driving, we hear his passport photo, and we are in a car. Amidst the journey to stop him, we start fighting on who takes on the steering. You get the point? All of a sudden, one of us decides to defect and say, if it's not me, I'd rather take another car. And we are going together to stop Oga Kahungu. This is what the relevance I bring into to opposition sitting each other and crossing over. Do you really think we can be able to stop Kahungu? So bring it to, relate it to the status quo and our topic. Defecting from DP to NUP and others from DP to FDC. Does it strengthen their bid to unseat President Museveni and the NRM?
Definitely. The fact that they are still within the opposition, I think we should treat it as a bonus, because they could have decided to defect to the national resistance movement. It is possible. So I think the struggle, if it exists, at least from what we see, seemingly still is in place. But I want you to look at NUP, but in the same vein, you should look at the Alliance for National Transformation. You can see all these political parties are getting defections, but none of them, I think, except for NUP, which has very few people who joined it officially, they are literally not fishing from the ruling party, they are fishing from the opposition. But most importantly for NUP, I think their role in 2021 will be more of a KY in the 1962 factor, where there was a seemingly rallying point for Uganda interests. So because I really almost, save for John Baptist Nambeshe, is there any other member of parliament from outside Uganda was joined NUP? No. So definitely most of the members of parliament are going to rotate around Uganda. But lest you forget, like I've always argued, it's not that Kahungu is going anywhere. The one you used metaphorically. It's not like Mr. Museveni is going anywhere after 2021. And I think this is the realization that has come to Mr. Chagulanyi himself. I want to assume that that is the very reason he actually decided to form a political party, so that he has a platform to be in position to express himself after he has moved out of parliament and he can no longer do music, and yet he still wanted to be relevant within the political circles. So, what impact does it have on the Democratic Party? Let's agree that the role of a political party is to mobilize members, and if you have a member who is at a level of a member of parliament, then that is even a bonus for you, even if they don't contribute much to that political party in terms of finance. But by mere fact that they associate themselves to the political party, I think that itself is a bonus, because there is a way it mobilizes another young person into joining that political party. So if the Democratic Party is losing about 10 or 11 members of parliament, most of whom actually
Again, out of 16.
Out of the 16, it actually means that the party is losing and losing quite a lot. But we should also not forget the fact that most of the members that are moving out of this have really had very little tangible contribution to the party since Norbert Mao took over. So this is now an uphill task for Norbert Mao. And when I talked to him last week, he said, well, it could be a challenge, but it could also be an opportunity for him to revive the party and mobilize for it outside Uganda, because he could have also become comfortable with those members of parliament, most of whom are actually only in the Uganda sub-region. So if he has the capacity to mobilize resources, he should be in position now to come to Kasese, he should go to Kabarole, he should go to Guru.
Now, in your opinion, do you think defecting of 11 MPs sinks more DP?
Yes, it has a... I don't want to use your word, but I strongly believe it really does have an impact on the operations and the image of the political party. Because you should not forget that also, even in parliament, the number of members of parliament that you have, I think affects your resource envelope on what you get from iPod, right?
Yeah, it is, if I can just interject, it is around 33 billion that the government gives to political parties through iPod. And the sharing of that money depends on the numerical strength
in the parliament.
And what's happening currently is that now these, because we are now into a financial year that ends on 1st July, on 30th June 2021. Now the political parties that have already got members crossing have started now going to parliament to show the speaker that now we are here and we have MPs. Now NUP has something like 17, and now you have NT has 4, and now they want to share that cake. And it means that at the moment, FDC's cake is getting reduced.
DPs.
And then the one of DP, and you will find out that NUP is now coming towards being the next in sharing that money. NRM takes the highest, and JEMA takes the lowest, because it has one MP. Then the rest of the parties, because they don't have an MP in parliament, they don't take a share of that money.
Is this a knockout? Is this a knockout for DP? Do we see DP going UPC's way?
I remember saying this, that defecting from opposition to opposition, you know, it's like jumping from a frying pan now to the real fire now, down there. Yesterday I was watching and I heard the President of the Republic of Uganda, Kaguta Museveni, His Excellency, saying these people, leave them. They are trying to move around, but what they are doing is, tribalism. You have just mentioned it here. My colleagues, I heard them talking about, regionalism. People who are now forming the NUP, all of them coming from Uganda. Don't you see? You mean in other regions there are no people who are willing to join? So they are concentrating more in the central, forgetting that Uganda is made up of 5 regions, and all these regions must be represented. They must have a voice from there.
And they matter a lot.
Exactly.
Bigek, I'm going to give you enough time on the second topic we want to discuss. To sum up this topic, Jerome, President Museveni previously sought to vanish all the opposition in Uganda by 2021. Is it coming?
Well, you cannot rule out completely the role of some ruling party operatives in the disgruntlement that has happened within some
Parties.
opposition political parties.
Especially DP.
And the FDC. I want to think you cannot rule that out completely. But I also strongly believe that we have very few genuine opposition players within Uganda's political atmosphere. Most of them, I want to believe, are mill-card politicians who are looking from where they can help their next
the second topic. Jerome says there are a few genuine opposition players in the politics of Uganda. Many of them are onto a meal card. I like the word meal card. Now off we go to a second topic that reads, will NRM primaries, with the conclusion of NRM primaries, stimulate a bigger number of independents than we have right now. Previously in Kasese, we used not to have independence. And in my analysis I've given to many of the politicians aspiring and those ones who had gotten interest for GAP, I'd given in my analysis, as, when they consulted me, I was always telling them, in Kasese it is either your FDC or your NRM. We have not had a culture before of electing independents and other parties. But now it seems like the culture is soon changing with the way. Because one, we've gotten many independents from the FDC primary elections that we always thought from way back that they were more clean than others. Now we have independents on board already. Before the NRM primaries, do you really think we'll have many more independents after the NRM primaries? And why? I'll start with Bikeke Saino.
Definitely, we're going to have many and many. Because if you count now, if you go to Busongora South has 8 who are now warming up to take over the NRM seat, flag. And all of them may not have the consensus, like, let's front one person. If you go to the women MP aspirants, they are 10. Even more, they never can even increase. Now, do you think all of them will have the same mind of like, we should front either one of them? I totally doubt. And yes, the constitution gives them, it's their constitutional right to if they are fail to agree, sure, let me come independent. But also there is another thing that has affected the current regime. The monetization of politics. Here is where the problem is. Most of these other people in politics know they are superior, they have been, maybe on the forefront, they have money. So they're willing to buy people votes. This is what happened in the FDC just of recent. So when they give out this money, when they dish this money to the voters,
related to the current regime monetizing, I think we should stick on FDC monetize their primary election.
Not only FDC.
So, you'd have stick on FDC monetizing their primaries as an example.
Not only FDC, because monetization of politics doesn't start when you're going to pick out to be nominated. It starts the day you show interest of being a candidate or showing people that I want to stand somewhere. If I go back to 2016, we saw the same happening in the NRM during the Mbahimba's period, the Kambale Pirigos, and this is actually it's FDC copied from NRM what they used it to do. So it's also another thing that is going to bring a lot of confusion in the party. And yes, this shows that men over the women, especially, are not going to be. I heard people talk about the three. That is the three. They had a meeting of recent, the meeting where they agreed that if we fail, we're going to front one person, but one of the aspirant was not in this meeting, and that is Marilyn Chiota. She was not in the meeting.
Is that the meeting that was called by the RDC?
I don't know who called the meeting,
Yeah,
but
I understand the RDC called the meeting, and
to harmonization meeting.
and my sister Marilyn was not in, and then other people thought maybe if she doesn't win, maybe she may come along. I will discuss my own views with myself.
As I hand over, we have the election of Grace, who has been participating. We have not read her mind whether she can come independent. Many of the other people are there, so we cannot rule out that independence is not going to remain. Actually, we're going to have many of them also coming as independent, but like I always say, no, the power belongs to the people. We have the right to choose who should lead us, depending on the manifesto she is going to unveil to the public.
And like me who thinks there are a lot of questions that are raising eyebrows. For example, I've met several candidates from NRM. They claim others have been offered the register. So they know the people who will vote for them. And others have been denied the register. Myself, I went to the office and they said, no, it's not for public consumption.
But that's an injustice.
Get the point? So people are threatened. Yeah, people are threatened. So we cannot display this in COVID. But me, I said, I'm not 100 people. You can offer me one, I look at the register, and maybe you could photocopy and give all candidates.
If we can talk about the register.
So, this is why I want to bring in Oga. Oga, such complaints and such kind of actions, do they, in actual sense, mean there are going to be many people who will not concede defeat in NRM elections henceforth coming as independents in the general elections?
Okay, if we can start on the issue of the register, I think the best witness to the confusion of registers should be Dr. Crispus Chionga, together with Capson Sausi. You know, in the build-up to the NRM primaries in 2015, Capson Sausi claimed he realized when he got a copy of the register that most of the youthful cadres whom he had rallied through music, word, and all those things, football, now he found the register had been tampered with, and the average age of the voters in that register was 40. he thought he had no way, and he had to go as an independent, and the difference of 2,700 votes between the winner Atkins Katsabe and Chionga was determined by the 4,000 plus votes that Capson Sausi got as an independent. And if there is any way to understand why an independent candidate affects someone's chances, it is there are three positions here in Kasese. Chairman LC 5. You know, if Muhindi hadn't gone independent, I think Mawa would have had a chance to win, because Muhindi got over 20,000 votes, and the difference between Mawa and Sibiangi was also 20,000 votes. And when you go to Konzo County East, after the confusion between Robert Baloku Shaipoma, finance, and then Husinga police friend, and when it happened that Robert petitioned Tangodoi and Tangodoi ruled in favor of police, Robert had to come as an independent. And when you look at police got 18,000 votes. Robert got 14,000 votes. So those we feel they are all votes of NRM. So when you add 18 and 14,
32,000.
You are at 32,000. The winner of FDC got 25,000 votes. So it means maybe if the NRM house was organized, they should have got to Bukonzo East for the first time. And it's the warning I sounded to my brother Harold Muhendo sometime back last year when we were discussing the chances of him coming back to Parliament and all that. I told him Senior Police is not running again. What have you done an incumbent to bring now the 18,000 votes of Senior Police to your side? Because an incumbent, you must work to ensure that everyone who did not vote you must find a reason to stick with you. So now when we talk about independence and the wave that is coming in, especially in the FDC, I think maybe the people of Kasese will one time learn that an independent candidate can also win a race and serve.
Do you foresee more independents coming as for NRM primaries? According to analysis, I felt it, the impact, but now can we see the foreseeable results?
I just feel that we may have an independent candidate from the NRM on the Oman MP seat.
For sure.
As Bikeke said, there seems to be a league of three people ahead of others when people talk about the aspirants in that on that position. When you talk of Sarah Itungu, you talk of Itungu Naramatsande, and then you talk of Maryland. They seem to be in their own league. And then someone who is following them near there is Mrs. Kairi, Sadras Kairi, is the one who seems to be following them near there.
Who's popular?
But now, you find a problem that the people of Songora North have always said, why is it that the woman MP is coming from their side, the chairman is coming from their side? Just imagine if Muhindi doesn't win the NRM primaries and they have their own daughter Grace. It may be a bargaining power to put her in and become the bargaining power either to get their district or
am I right to think that primary elections fail political parties? But if it was something like harmonization and dictating, say we have analyzed you guys, you and Jerome are candidates, and we see Oga must get in. Please, for the betterment of our party and not losing, we are taking this one and this one kindly, please, without going to primary elections.
I think for NRM, they have a chief negotiator who is the president, and maybe if they want to sort themselves,
because
enough.
in Kasese they had such a committee that was harmonizing candidates, interviewing them, bring your papers, bring what. I witnessed some, though others came in the picture even after interviews. They dodged the interviews, they said they will not get there, and they're in the picture now.
Yeah, but that kind of interview was unnecessary. And I don't know who in Kasese should now first vet my papers and all that. When my papers have been certified by UNEB, if I don't have...
They have to have confidence in you before they front you with the flag.
If I have the equivalent of A level, maybe the National Council for Higher Education has already issued me a letter to say that yes, this one has been equated. It is equivalent to the A level.
Okay. So, to sum up this, I think this one I want to bring in. This one I want to bring in Jerome. Jerome, do you anticipate we'll have a record number of independent candidates in Kasese than ever before?
My brother, I think...
And to answer it together with this, do you think the wave is going to change in Kasese of electing political parties, either FDC or NRM, and we're going to have independent for the first time on high post?
When you were voted as an independent member of parliament or into a political position as an independent candidate, it does not necessarily mean that the people who voted you do not have political parties they subscribe to. It could simply mean that there was some mismanagement within the electoral process that brought out a particular candidate of the political party of their choice, but they were not content. But the emergence of independent candidates also speaks to the democratization process within the internal democratization process of political parties. How are the elections managed? Question number one. Two, how ready are the candidates themselves for the democracy, which some people have defined as the dictatorship of the majority over the minority? You know? In some instances, you'll actually find that there was even some... It speaks also to how ready are the people themselves for democracy. Like I did indicate, democracy has in some quarters been defined as the dictatorship of the majority over the minority. But like I said, even when some political parties seemingly show some level of democracy within their internal processes, some people do not have the democratic principles to concede that they have lost. That's why even so that even at national level where the Forum for Democratic Change had a candidate and the candidate conceded to have really lost genuinely without being cheated, but he still moved out of the party. I don't feel that is a democracy.
Owing on Kasese.
Now let's go
Will
now.
the culture change of voting political parties? Because here around we vote, it's either you are NRM or FDC. Now independents are rising. Will the culture change?
That's exactly what I was trying to put across, that the people are not going to leave their political parties. People will remain in their political parties. But like I did explain before, that if the processes have been a little democratic or clean enough, people will stick to their parties and they will vote parties. But if the people believe that the parties have not done them justice in looking for a candidate of their choice, the people will give a vote of no confidence in their political party and vote an independent candidate. But you cannot, but you say the emergence of independence, we are going to have them in the FDC, we are going to have them in the NRM. The other point or the other cause for that is that, like I didn't get before, that we have so many milk-card politicians. Many people are simply looking for an opportunity to get a meal.
It's quite interesting.
So if
Many people are looking for opportunities. Simon, I'm afraid
let me finalize this point.
we have to cut you short
let
in
me
2
finalize this
seconds.
point,
Yeah.
yes. So if they see that by not participating in the election, they are likely to lose out on a meal, perhaps by not being recognized by the powers that be, then they will make sure they come as independent so that at least they can be recognized.
Thank you
But
so
also
much,
cannot
Jerome.
rule it
Thank you so
out.
much.
Remember, we measure it on the performance. Yes, if they have performed, people are interested in seeing people performing, extending to them services, and this is why they vote. The reason why you are seeing in Honorable Katrika coming back
For sure.
would have maybe contributed a lot in terms of development to the region, and he's like, my people,
sure.
and there are people forcing him to come back.
That's Vikeke
Anyway,
Simon.
he
And
just-
it's been interesting here. I would have loved to have more time discuss with this gentleman. It's really brilliant. I love the views from either sides. And though we have to sum up this show with our usual culture, that each one of us will give what he thinks will top stories next week. I'll start with Oga. Oga, what do you think will make headlines next week?
Next week is the NRM National Delegates Conference, and they are going to vote the 8, actually almost 7, because 7 is unopposed as national chairman and flag bearer. Then on Wednesday night, he successfully convinced SEC to leave Chigongo unopposed. I understand today is talking to Francis Babu and the other who are contesting for the first national vice chairperson. And then now we expect people to vote for the vice chairperson female, where Kadaga is tussling with Namugans and 2 other women. And then and Kadaga insisted in SEC that she must compete. The president was trying to say, let her also go, and because she says, no, since my sisters have come up, let us face off and let democracy rule. And then finally, all the regions are voting their vice chairpersons. Kasese has a candidate, Boaz Kafuda. I wish him well, but by Wednesday we'll have got the big headlines of that day.
For sure. According to Oga, he thinks the NRM elections, especially SEC elections, will top headlines next week. Simon.
Well, mine looking at duplication of programs, empty promises, especially trying to the youth being bought, their ideas being washed away by empty promises.
Not money.
Empty promises from
promises.
government officials, especially those in high positions.
That's Simon's opinion. Let's have your own, Jerome.
I think that NUP in a way will also continue to make a few headlines here and there during the course of next
Make
week.
many more signings.
Not necessarily.
NT started with a 2 in the other man from Eastern, Soga, and Gerard Karhanga, and all of a sudden Nani also joined Kachano Wadri, of whom I personally thought 100% would join. No,
You were
but
mistaken.
I was spotted out.
You were mistaken.
So, but
Okay.
Nope now makes more signings. If it was transfers, it's okay.
Either way, I don't believe they'll have so many signings, but I still believe they will be in the news over there. And like my brother says, the fact that the ruling party is going through an election, what transpires during the course of that, but most importantly, how they will also hold their national delegates conference amidst the coronavirus pandemic.
Scientifically now.
So how they argue it out and what
Thanks so
happens
much.
there, I
That's
think
what it takes to host top journalists. Oh my God.
That we've forgotten about. The FDC has until 19th this month, which is next week. For those who want to run as flag bearer for presidents to pick forms.
And those mayor.
And that's the headline. If Messenger doesn't show up,
He's not showing up. At least
And then if nobody shows up,
I want to think, in fact, nobody might show up.
Thanks so much for being part of the MUJK Media Roundtable. It's always a pleasure to have you part of this board. Please subscribe if you're new, smash a like on this video, click on the notification button so that you should never miss any of our uploads. Salute to our consistent viewers, Zefa, Baluku Ronald, Denise from Dubai, all the Kasese people in the diaspora. And don't forget, also a consistent viewer from Dar es Salaam. She's called Asia Big Buban, King Promotions, Conrad Promotions, YBD. All you guys are Warhol Fashion, Credit Fashion. Thanks for the promotions. Thanks for selling K-Vision TV. We are proud of you guys. Have a good evening. We'll meet till next time on a topical discussion next week. Have a good evening.
Bye.